Welcome to Restaurant Deal Making Exposed, the only show that equips you with everything you need to know about restaurant transactions. In this show, we tell you all about how to make the sale or purchase of your restaurant not just possible, but successful. Now here are your hosts, ex-restaurateurs and seasoned brokers, Patrick Toda and Andy Mirabel.
All right, everybody, we are here for episode 12, and we're calling it Eating Up All the Profits. Restaurant owners commonly face several challenges when it comes to streamlining operations and managing costs. Today's episode will discuss these issues and how to improve and manage them. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Fred Langley, the CEO and owner of Restaurant Systems Pro. Fred's story in the restaurant industry is truly inspiring. He began his career at just 12 years old, working as a dishwasher, and through years of dedication and passion, he worked his way up to become a chef. By the age of 27, Fred opened his first restaurant, and soon after, he expanded with more locations in California's beautiful wine country, including a fine dining establishment and a pizzeria. His journey took a turn when he discovered Restaurant Systems Pro, formerly known as the Restaurant Expert. He saw firsthand how systems could revolutionize restaurant operations, and by 2006, Fred stepped into the role of CEO. Since then, he has led the charge in helping restaurant owners streamline every aspect of their businesses, from budgeting and menu engineering to labor management. Now, on a personal note, my connection with Restaurant Systems Pro goes back to 2016, when I had the privilege of working with the former owner, David Scott Peters. At that time, I had 2 restaurants, and I had a former background in corporate companies like Starbucks, where I was used to having colleagues to discuss complex issues and systems already in place to fall back on. As a restaurant owner, I quickly realized how isolating it could feel. It's true what they say, it's lonely at the top. I was facing challenges and needing someone to bounce ideas off of, a trusted partner who understood the ins and outs of the industry. Restaurant Systems Pro filled that gap for me. It gave me not only the systems, but the support I needed to navigate the complexities of running a restaurant. So thank you, Fred, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Fred, this is the first time I'm meeting you. So thank you again for spending some time with us today and discussing, restaurant systems and what you offer restaurant clients and such to help streamline their operations. I'd love to know, just because from my perspective and also our listeners' perspective, if you could give us kind of a nutshell of what your company is and what it does to start.
Yeah, so we have restaurant management systems and we help restaurants. Mostly our clients are made up of independent restaurants. We have a few franchises in there where they've kind of replaced their franchise systems with our systems in there, but it's franchise systems for the independent operator. And we help restaurants with systems and processes that'll gain their time back and increase profits. We want them to be able to pay all of their vendors without having to check their bank account. Right. And we could just write the checks with, I'm going to pay my bills. I don't need to go check my bank balance. My restaurant's operating well and cash flowing, and I have time and I'm able to concentrate on the parts that I love because we've delegated rather than abdicated responsibilities to our team. And we help with all those systems that allow you to do that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. This is where we ask him if he prefers cash or accrual basis. No, I'm just kidding. So from a past episode, we had a pretty heated debate on that one.
We're taking inventory, so you got to be accrual.
Yes, we all have to be accrual. Anyway, sorry, that was a little divergent there. I noticed the catchphrase, and you mentioned it just for a moment about franchise, removing some of the franchise systems and so on and moving to your systems. I noticed the catchphrase on your website. And it says, run your independent restaurant like a chain or franchise without paying the 7% royalty. It caught my eye, so it's a catchy, it works. It caught my eye. I think it's a catchy phrase. Should a family-run, owner-operator, or independent restaurant strive to be more like a big chain or a franchise?
In some ways, we don't want to take away the fact that you are recognizable in your restaurant. We don't want to take away the fact that you're a neighborhood restaurant that has quality product, quality food. What we do want you to do that franchises do well is to know your numbers, to have a dashboard of what your labor is and what it's supposed to be. It's not just a feeling that, Susie needs these shifts and, this is what my schedule's always been. And so I just copy it every week and that's what I do, right? Those are the parts that we want to really control. When it comes to purchasing, a franchise is going to be really good at, sourcing those products and getting there. And there's somebody else that's like shopping those products. Now, at the independent level, what we know is like, hey, getting a better price on a product That's a good thing. And we want to get it when it's an equal quality of product. We're not going to ever save you money by buying cheaper, lesser value products. And where the money is in your kitchen is knowing usage of that product, making sure that we're portioning it correctly, making sure that we're using the right amounts of that product and it's not being wasted. There's actually a lot less money in better pricing than there is in shopping better pricing than there is in using your products well. So,
wow. You pointed out right there that trying to shop a cheaper price if you find an equal quality is okay, but otherwise not okay.
Not okay. Yeah.
Not okay. Okay.
The best marketing that you have in your business is a great experience. I'm not saying that you don't market or do other things, but when somebody comes in and has a good time and is connecting with your staff and enjoying their food, that's the best thing you can do to create repeat business. And if we buy cheaper steaks or inferior products, then it's not going to have that same experience in your restaurant. And that's where sometimes the chains really fall short, or we don't want our independents to be like them, is somebody higher up goes, oh, we can save. And in fact, Chef Gino, who actually ran a 330 unit franchise, tells a story about somebody in corporate saying, hey, we can save X millions of dollars across our 330 stores if we buy this cheaper, I think it was like a cube steak or some product. And Gino's like, well, that product's crap and our customers are going to hate it. And so they switched that product because some suit said, hey, let's change that product rather than listening to the corporate chef. And all of a sudden sales started diving.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I have an experience with that because I had a bacon at my deli, which was Hobbs bacon, and it was $1 or $2 more a pound than like all the other bacons, and everybody kept on trying to get us to replace it. But our customers came for that bacon, and I was not going to replace it because none of it could replace that one bacon. For whatever reason, all the other bacons would burn when you got it to a crisp, whereas this bacon would not burn. And so it wasn't worth the change, even though it would have saved us a lot of money.
Did you try it for a moment or not?
We tried many bacons over the years to try and replace it because it was so dang expensive. And it was our number one sandwich had this bacon. And so we kept on trying, and we just couldn't get to a bacon that would get that crisp without, burning or charring, or the quality was there and we just couldn't replace it. And so it was worth every penny.
Yeah. I like Fred's example about cube steak because no one likes that anyway. So.
Right. But the thing is, what our clients are going to be able to do is they're going to know the cost of that sandwich and they're going to be able to price it accordingly. So if you have good quality, it's okay to charge for it because people are less price sensitive when they have a good product in front of them. When you deliver, people are way less price sensitive.
Very good point. Very good point.
You can have great quality product and then charge appropriately.
Yeah, me and Andy just went to a deli the other day for an opening of one of our clients. And, coming from the deli industry, there was a time when I didn't think you can charge, over a certain price for a sandwich. But I think we paid $45 for 2 sandwiches and a bottle of water. And I was like, wow. And, they're really good sandwiches. They're very popular here in the area here. And I was just like, okay, this is where we are now. People are paying it. There was a line out the door,
But it's night and day between, overpaying and not getting quality. So that, to your point, Fred, that's really amazing. Yeah. Can you, in a list format, what are the 3 most common reasons that, clients reach out to you for help? Or similarly, what are the 3 most common issues you isolate? Those may be different answers. They may be the same. I don't know.
They are different answers. I think it depends on where somebody is in their growth. We have a restaurant group there are a few restaurants that do 100 million and we have clients that do 300,000 a year, right? So there's a range of people and they're solving different problems. Like we also just signed on a 38 unit store, but their challenges are still the same. But now those challenges are like, how do I impart this across 38 units when I might have a restaurateur that another client just signed on, they do 700,000 a year just recently. So like I have 2 clients that just signed on my most recent. One is a 38 unit franchise doing over 60 something million across their stores. And then they have one store and it's doing 700,000. Well, both of them need to do recipe costing cards, but the one that has 38 stores, if we could do enterprise where I do it in one store and I repeat all of that across 38 stores, right? So that's a problem that the multi-unit people need solved with us, but both stores need to solve their food costs and it changes their life. The life of their management team and of that, the big or small, it's still, if the 700,000, I think they lost 100,000 last year and we have a budget where they're set to make 25,000 in profit, but their salaries included. They're the GMs of their store at that level. right? So they're running it. So not only are they getting paid, but they're going to go from making a little bit of money to not losing at that. And that's what's that, $120,000 swing on 700,000. That's a big swing. That's life changing, right? Yeah.
Obviously, your company, that's the value that is brought to your clients, big or small. That's interesting that you have such a range of clients.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, like, regionally, like, are you representing the entire United States, or are you getting most of your stores in like these urban areas?
I'd say 95% of our clients are all within from in every single state. I have clients that travel. They're like, hey, we want to go to a Restaurant Systems Pro client. So we'll give them some choices to go wherever they're at. That happened yesterday. I have one of my clients go, hey, I'm in San Antonio. Where's a Restaurant Systems Pro client? I want to go support them. And that's really cool and neat. And then they also like to top shot. I'm like, hey, what are you guys getting out of the system? What do you do? Those are, people in my elite group. But we have people represented across all 50 states. Outside the United States, we have a couple in Australia, like one in China, one in England, one in Trinidad and Tobago, one in Cayman Islands, and then a bunch in Canada, right? So it's like, but yeah.
Do you have boots on the ground? I mean, it seems to me like it's a very visceral thing. Like when you're going in to help a restaurant, you want to see how they operate things.
So we have that option. So we do have a consultant that if you choose to have that in your onboarding, we will go on the ground and train and implement. And those things are on the ground. We can help you like get your inventory set up in person. But most of our clients are actually just setting up in there. So it's like, we have one person that does that and she's probably out 4 weeks a month, going out, either revisiting clients and doing that. But really, we have this 60-day onboarding where we walk through everything with you. We show you how to set up your inventory and how to get products set up. And a lot of the things that restaurants are bored with and stumble on, we do for you, as long as it's not repeatable tasks. So like if I have to set up a product in the system, let's say I'm buying milk. Well, I have to say I buy it by 4 gallons in a 4-gallon case. I store it by the 1 gallon. So I'm going to count in inventory by the gallon that I see it there. And then I'm going to use it by the 1 ounce, either if it's a glass of milk that's being sold or if it's being put in clam chowder. I'm going to use it by the ounce. And so every single product you buy has to be set up like that. Those are types of things that we do for our clients because we know that if we can get them out of being stuck in the minutia of getting systems ready to use, then they're going to get results fast and actually get the enjoyment out of using the systems without having to get stuck in that. So if it's non-repeatable tasks, we do a ton for you. And we have the confidence to do that without a bunch of onboarding fees because our average client has been with us 11 and a half years. That's average.
Wow. Good for you. That's a big accolade there.
Right. Especially in the software industry. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So back to just to hone in a little bit so our listeners can hear this. If I'm a restaurateur, I'm struggling and I'm just throwing my hands up here, I need help. And we call you. What do you hear most? Do they say, hey, I'm losing money or I feel disorganized?
So it's losing money. This is the sad reality of the people that come to Restaurant Systems Pro. We have 2 main camps. There's people in the middle, but there's 2 main camps. There's the people that want to be ultra successful and they go, hey, I heard that the average restaurant makes 3%. I made 5. I need to do better, right? Or have the people that are losing money and they need to change it. And their back's against the wall and they need to change it. So it's people that want to be ultra successful or the people that just need to make a change because they're not going to survive. They know if they're not going to make it. Where we get lost, and this is kind of a disease in the restaurant industry, is where my average clients are making 15 to 20% profit. But I'll talk to somebody making 10% profit and they're like, oh, I'm good. The average restaurant makes 3%. I'm making 10. I don't need Restaurant Systems Pro or anything else because I'm doing better than tons of restaurants. But that's where they're being satisfied with mediocrity. And those are the ones that actually we have the most trouble with because they don't have enough pain to where they're, losing money and their backs against the wall. And they're not really that excited about being ultra successful.
I could relate to that. Like I remember making 6, 8, 9% in San Francisco and, consultants and other systems, people would come and say, we can help you on X, Y, and Z. And, in my late 20s and early 30s, I'm like, I got it. And yeah, I was stubborn.
Admittedly. It's very common.
Yeah.
Can I ask you regarding, 10% to the bottom line, is that doable these days? Do you see people getting to 12, 13, 14%? And is it regional?
Oh, absolutely. It's most difficult in California, right? And we teach a 55 prime cost when you're above $1 million, right? So I just told you about the client that's doing 700,000. They're not in California, they're in a different part of the region, but they're not making 140K, which would be 20% on 700K. Okay. But they're kind of under that rule of a million. So we are getting them to 25,000 in profit, but they're also making salaries out of that is included in their expenses, right? Eventually, we'd want to get them to where if they could grow sales and get them over a million, they could eventually hire a GM and then live off of profits instead of having to pay themselves a salary out of their store. But yes, there was a period coming out of the pandemic that a lot of my clients their margins were suffering. But what happened was my existing clients said, hey, we just need to recommit to the systems and get these new employees trained and get to our new reality and update our menus and change our pricing and do the menu engineering and make sure that we're tracking what we're buying and using it properly. And my clients are back. I had a lot of clients that have grown massively out of the pandemic because one, they had a whole bunch of tax benefits that replace some of the losses that happened. But the ones that switched to doing online, a lot of times sales stayed up. We got some tax benefits while sales were going up because people still always eat out. And yes, inflation has creeped in a little bit, but I'm still getting clients to that 15. I still stands true, 15, 20% profit.
You pointed out a goal of 55% prime costs on sale, 1 million in sales or revenue and above, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's a great marker. And here in California, we had a very great restaurant bookkeeper on, and he almost laughed at us when Patrick pointed out that what'd you used to shoot for on prime costs, Patrick?
50%.
50% in San Francisco. And he almost laughed us off the table.
Yeah.
It's really hard to meet that
It's called
right
the
now.
Dunning-Kruger effect, where you think that you have a greater knowledge of a certain subject than you actually do.
Yeah. And for our listeners, can we back up a little bit? Fred, what are prime costs?
Total cost of goods sold and total labor, including taxes, benefits, and insurance. And it's important that we calculate off of gross sales because we want a good measurement of how we're operating. And what I mean by that is, I don't want food costs to go up because somebody did a 2-for-1 Facebook promotion on food, right? Because we're going to track every bit of the sale because we don't want a chef going, hey, my food cost is up because you did 2-for-1 Facebook promotion. No, we're going to give them credit for, even though we discount it, we're going to give them credit for the full sale. Because if we have variances in food costs, we want to rule out any other outside factors outside of portioning and wasted product. And
you back that out, that promotion cost, back it out, roll it into marketing or promotion or something.
We put it under operating expenses. So it's still it doesn't change your bottom line, but it goes under operating expenses. But when we calculate the prime cost number, it's off of gross sales, not including the sales tax collected or any of that. So Aloha calls sales tax a gross sale. So people get confused sometimes.
Tell us generally for prime cost, what are some just easy systems that people can put in place that will help manage cost of goods and labor?
Yeah, so it is a fact that anything measured improves. And that's a lot of times the effect our system has where people are just blown away. Like when they're tracking every purchase against a budget and they look at like, okay, I'm ordering this. I know how much I'm spending before I spend it. And then I'm looking to see what my budget says, which is a flex budget that in our system, it adjusts. Like it's all based on sales forecasts and what our targets are. And if I'm busier than planned, it actually adds money to my budget because that makes sense, right? If my chef should buy more food if we were busier than planned, they should, and it allows that. But if I'm slower than planned, it will reduce my next order, knowing that I still have that food on the shelf, or I should at least, for my next order. And so it will automatically increase or decrease based on actuals coming in with forecasts. But when people just pay attention to every single dollar, every single order, they will see a drop sometimes up to 5% in there. And sometimes that happens, it's a false low because they start using up all the inventory on their shelves because they're paying attention to each order a lot more closely. And then we go, hey, you're not going to really save 15 points on food cost on your raw purchasing. You're depleting your inventory right now to get it down to the right level. And then your spending will go back up once you have to just maintain that right level of inventory.
I would guess that over ordering and too large of inventory is something very common you see on shelves.
Very common. It's the walk around the walk-in method. You know, they go in their order is like,
yeah.
They're looking, that's how they order, right? And that's where also people get stuck in like, hey, I have this toxic chef, but he's the only one that knows how to order. right?
Oh, God.
I'm a chef too, so not to insult the chefs out there, but they're known to be a little toxic, and people feel stuck. It's like, I can't cook the food and I can't do the order. I'm stuck with this person that's berating everybody and creating a cancer in my restaurant. And really, the reality is we want to get that stuff out of people's heads and into a system.
If I'm speaking from a restaurant operator or owner's perspective, one of my trepidations may be to implement these things is actually to implement these systems. And then also, it feels like you're putting more work on your staff and your team, yet you know the end game is going to make their life easier. But that's a challenge, I'm sure, for everybody, right?
Yeah, that is a big challenge. That's why we do so much of the mundane, like setting up a product and saying and doing all that. That's why we are like, help you get your first scheduled in. With the budgets that need to be done, which is the first step, is identifying what the potential profit for your restaurant is. We do that for you. So because my clients have been with me 11 and a half years, all those things that add a ton of work, we do a lot for you. I have a whole team of people that do those things. We set you off. And yes, it is a little bit more work in the beginning, but the results are massive on the back end of it.
Let me ask you this. A lot of the clients that I come into contact with, most of them, I believe they're not costing out their menu items. How often do you come across that?
I'd say 90% of restaurants don't have accurate recipe costing cards.
Oh my gosh. It's kind of flying by the seat of your pants. You see what your competitors are doing, and then I don't know. It's a guesstimation.
Exactly. Can you imagine having a tire store and you're going to sell tires and you go, I don't know what the tires cost. I'm just going to.
It feels like it should be this price, right? Yeah.
It should be.
Totally. Okay.
It's nuts, but they do it. But then they say like, oh, I'm doing great, but they don't even know half of their KPIs, their key performance indicators. They don't know what they are, And so I just did one with a client the other day that we were looking at their system. They said, we're saying, hey, I want to get you the fastest results as we can because they're just getting started. And it's overwhelming to say that, hey, I have all these recipes that need to be done. So what we did is we just ran a purchase report in the system and we identified the top 5 items that they were buying. One of those top 5 items that they were purchasing were French fries. And they're like, oh, Fred, we can't portion French fries on the line. I go, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you it's out of control. So what we did is instead of worrying about finishing all the recipes, we just made sure we added the fry ingredient to every single thing that had fries. And then we pulled their PMix from their POS system and we compared what should have been used in fries according to what they sold in their POS to what they actually used. And they should have used 12 cases of fries and actually used 30 cases of fries in 7 days.
Is that because of hand size dropping in the fryer? Like what? Is it just not managing it? Tell me why that happens. That's obscene.
If you start doing the math on over portioning, let's say I have 1.5 ounces pour on liquor, right? And my target's 21% just for easy math, right? Well, if I pour 2 ounces, that's 33% too much, right? Well, that means I just went from a 21% pour to a 28% pour on 1/2 ounce of booze, right?
Do you see more dollars being given away behind the bar or in the kitchen?
It's both. I had a client that had 13 bottles of Jameson missing in 1 week. And
that's just a theft issue.
I'm firing my bartenders. They're getting fired. They're getting fired right now. And I'm like, okay, slow down. We don't want to fire all your bartenders. They have relationships with your team. I go, honestly, they just need to know the rules. And so the bar manager went to the bartenders and he's like, all you sons of bitches better stop giving away shots of Jameson. I know you're doing it. Knock it off. Within 1 week, the variances were cleaned up, but they thought he was sitting there watching video cameras.
Yeah.
Patrick, because he said Jameson, Is this in the Mission District or what is this? Where is this? Oh, New York.
New York.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Going into this whole line of thinking, when I worked at Jamba Juice, something as simple as our freezer, if it was a little warmer and our ice creams and sherbets would be softer and the IQF fruit would be softer, you would be able to, scoop more. And it would throw off your cost of goods. In fact, when I was an area manager, whenever their cost of goods were looked a little high, I would go look at their freezer to see how warm or cold it was. The colder it is, the more in line your cost of goods are, because you're going to, be able to get these large scoops if it's too soft, basically. And that little thing right there can fix a lot of cost of goods in your store, basically. Yeah.
So I have a yogurt shop. They're like 4 stores and they do like $6 million in frozen yogurt. Okay. And they have these frozen yogurt shakes. And so what was happening is they were making the shakes and at the bottom of the blender, after they made the shake, there'd be a little bit left over, which they thought was a little bit, but it actually was about 20% of that shake. And I just told you when you add 30, you could go. So if I add 20% onto a 30% food cost, I go from 30 to 36. 6 points in your store is so much.
Yeah.
And so they just they started using measuring utensils for the shake. Now, when they put the shakes in, it filled the cup perfectly and there wasn't waste at the end, but they never thought anything of it. It was just a little snack for them to have. And it added up to massive amount of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt very cool free pouring as a bartender in my 2021s and mid 20s. And God damn that jigger. But the jigger made all the difference for all my restaurants, all my experience, the quality and everything. There's a reason to do it too, because consistency.
But do you know why they go there?
No, go ahead.
Do you know why people go to Applebee's though? Because it sucks the same way every time.
Got it. I thought it was going to be the prices. That's funny. The world's changed since 2020. What are the main trends that you see, and how have your systems and how you implement them or suggest them changed since then also?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to answer that in two parts. The biggest thing I'd say difference in our systems is our systems are proactive. So other systems out there, they're going to tell you what you did yesterday. They're going to give you reporting and they tell you what you did yesterday. All of our systems are about how much is my next purchase supposed to be? How many hours are supposed to be on my next schedule? It's all about controlling tomorrow. Yes, we need reporting on yesterday to know like how we've done and how we performed and how well we did. But what's more important is control. You can only control once the clock ticks, the money's gone. You can't ask them, hey, you worked 5 extra hours last week. Can you give them to me for free? Next week. Once the clock ticks, that money's gone. And so controlling all of these things proactively and having the system tell you, this is how many host hours, this is how many cook hours. If you're going to meet your budget and meet your goals, this is where you're at. And what that does is it creates a negotiation where you can actually start to delegate these things where somebody can go, hey boss, the system said I have 120 cook hours to use, but I need to use 130. Well, why do you need to? Well, it's why I have these extra hours. We have this catering on Saturday. Oh, well, let's go add sales forecast into Saturday that we're going to do. And when we plug that in, it'll tell us, we fixed that. Or are you sure? And it really creates, it's not just we set this magic target and everybody follows it. It's like you start to work out how you're going to accomplish your goals. And then what you do is instead of just the owner trying to accomplish the goals, the whole entire restaurant team is trying to accomplish the goals. And they know how to accomplish the goal a lot better than you sometimes as the owner.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, every restaurateur should hone in and call you.
Yeah. How have delivery apps changed the game? I mean, what are your thoughts on that and food costs and the commissions and everything like that? I personally hate delivery apps, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
So I don't want anybody from DoorDash putting a hit out on me right now.
I'll take the hit.
I'm actually working on some technology. So we're creating our own POS system. And with our own POS system is you have each restaurant that is in our system will have their own branded app. So just like a Chick-fil-A has their own app and Starbucks has their own app and all the big boys have their own branded app that is their app. And so that's one of the big things that we're creating with our POS system. So I have a client that's in DC area. They've got 4 restaurants and they do a ton of delivery. Okay. And because they do so much delivery, he's just told the delivery drivers, hey, just wait outside my back door. I'm going to bring the deliveries out. You do it and we'll just pay you directly. So they're not his employees or anything. And he's just like, they're just waiting out in his back door and he brings the deliveries out and people take the deliveries and go. Well, and so that's a good idea, but we want technology to help us with that. And so and insurance and all that, there's also questionable things about doing that, correct? And so, but going off of that, if you look at the DoorDash drivers that are out there, what they do is they have DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub. They're signed up for all of those so that they can stay busy while they're out there. And when they get to delivery, they turn off the other ones, they go to delivery, and then they turn all those apps back on. So one of the things that we're doing in our POS system is we're actually building this delivery function so that you can ping the drivers that are out there. So when the drivers come in, you say, hey, sign up for our app directly. And so now you become one of the apps that they're signed up with, right? So now what you're able to do, because we're not greedy sons of bitches leeching off of restaurants, and we're making money other ways. Like I understand people need to make money. DoorDash is trying to make money, but the only way they can make money is by taking revenue from a restaurant. We make money by providing systems, providing accounting, selling them a POS system. So in our system, we're going to take 0 fees on that. And then they can set prices. Because right now, if I wanted to order a Subway sandwich, it would cost $25 to have one Subway sandwich delivered to my desk, right? But if we take those fees out and we let I might pay, what if it's $12 or $13 for a regular Subway sandwich? Because there is delivery fees. You got to pay the delivery driver. People expect that more. But instead of being 25, I might order it a whole bunch more, right? And to think about it, like I just told, like my ideal restaurants are making 15, 20% profit. And well, DoorDash is taking 30% in a lot of cases. They negotiate, but a lot of the time they're taking 30%. So like now the restaurant knows I'm losing money on every order, but my customers want it. And so I'm forced to do it just because my customers want it. So if we can offer the technology that allows them to do it and then be profitable on it, and then also price it to where the customers will order it more often, I think we're on to something there.
I wish you success in that new venture. Patrick and I are twins. We just don't look alike. We say the same thing and finish each other's sentences. That's great. Yeah, that'll be fantastic. Patrick, I got kind of one good segue question to kind of ask him. And then did you have any other topics?
There was one part of the question, though, that you'd asked. You asked what I've changed since the pandemic.
Yes. Let us know.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't get to answering that. And one of the things that we are changing is I've been against automation. And the reason is, it's one thing to say that I have software that helps you control labor, but one of the key components is that we force you to go in and look so that data comes in automatically from the POS system. But what we do is we force you to look at it and the reason is that the schedules populate and then the data comes in from the POS system and overwrites it. And when we force you to look at it, we start to find things like, oh, that server came in and they clocked in at $10 an hour as a host when they get paid $2.13 as a server in Texas.
Don't even say that on our podcast. Leave that out. Sorry.
I have done studies on that the 213-hour server actually takes home more money than the California server because of tax brackets. But we catch that because they were scheduled as a server, but they clocked in as hosts, right? And so we catch that right away.
Why would automation not catch that?
Because if we just automatically overwrite the fact that they were supposed to be a server, because their schedules populate as a server. The system, the way we have it set up today that we're changing for some people, and we're making a choice to change because I have longtime clients that make gobs of money that I don't want to change that by having their managers not pay attention. But then I have people that are struggling to just keep up with the system and they can't hire good managers. And so at least if we have the system up to date, so when they get back to looking at it after a week, they don't have to update 7 days of data. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's certain levels of clients that have their managers trained really well, and some are trying to get there. And so where I'm giving some grace on that is where the system would just automatically erase that data that they worked as the server. But now I might miss the fact that host did 10. So we actually have some reports that are saying, hey, this person worked different than what they were scheduled, a report that comes out. And so basically what I'm getting at is I'm turning on more automation. My fear is that people pay less attention to the numbers and they don't get as good of results, because part of the magic in the results is not just the software, but the mindset and making people pay attention and truly manage the shift instead of just having automatic reports hitting a software.
Yeah, good. No, absolutely.
And so we have to walk this fine line between how much automation to where people stop getting results. Because without mentioning another company, I heard a CEO was doing another podcast of another company, and they had a client come on and they were super happy because their books were done. But then they started asking about recipe costing cards and inventory and profit levels, and they didn't have any of that. And their profits weren't very good, but they got their books. And it's like, I want to change lives, and getting your books releases some stress, and that's good. And so we do that today, which is exciting for us. We just rolled that out this year. But we replace QuickBooks, but 20% profits changes lives, and it changes the lives of your managers and your community and how well you can grow your restaurant. And that's our key mission there.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And I think one of the things that lacks from restaurateurs, chef owners, all these stuff is quality of life. So if you can give them a 20% bottom line buffer and they can have some support in-house for themselves, everything it gets better quickly.
And we don't want to go with the kids these days, because there's actually some kids these days that really do want to work. And sometimes we just can't find them because we assume that they're, what is the generation right now?
X, Y, and Z, all of them. Fred, what is your elevator pitch? If you're in an elevator with a restaurateur is a little hesitant to ask for help, why go with you guys?
Well, what do you have to lose? maybe a little time in there. So like I encourage people to do our 60-day, and we actually sell it. You'll probably see our ads on there. We sell it for $97 where you can come and do our systems for 60 days. But Andy, you mentioned it, like they are scared. They're like, I don't have the time. I'm already working 8 hours a week. How am I going to commit to 2 months of training? And so what we're encouraging them with is we're doing the work with you that you're doing anyway. So it's not extra time. We're just actually working on it to make you more efficient in the things that you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing inventory and scheduling on budget and doing sales forecasting and creating checklists. And we just help you make those more efficient and with better accountability in those things, right? So
cool. Well, I definitely encourage folks to reach out and, look into your company and see how it can help them and just understand even what getting their foot in the water is here just to learn more. So it sounds fantastic. You sound like you know more than any restaurateur, chef, ex-chef, all that on the face of the earth. So definitely qualified. Outside of our normal questioning, we're very curious always to know if you weren't running this company and you didn't need the money, what would you do?
No, I've already told my wife I'm never going to retire.
If she forced you to retire and you had to pick something.
If I wasn't running this, I'd be running her. This is probably not the answer you want, but if I wasn't running Restaurant Systems Pro, changing the lives of restaurateurs, I'd still have my restaurant.
Awesome. I love it. And if you need one, you just call one of us or both of us and we'll help you. Okay. Anyways, well, no, we greatly appreciate having you on. Your company sounds fantastic. And I'm sure you've helped so many countless restaurateurs and, benefited them. And like you said, it trickles down. So congratulations. And I hope you keep growing. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I guess we wanted to point out the fact that we got some great new episodes coming up this fall. So tune in, keep tuning in, and we hope to talk to you all soon. Okay.
Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Restaurant Deal Making Exposed. If you're considering selling your business and would like a free consultation, reach out to Patrick and Andy at therestaurantsalesbroker.com or visit www.therestaurantsalesbroker.com to learn more.